It was just an avenue we were interested in exploring, a adult party game space where groups of adults just want to get together and have a silly, naughty time.
Brooke, thank you so much for talking to us. Kick us off. Give us a quick introduction to yourself and what you do at Jackbox Games.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, delighted to be here. My name is Brooke Breit, and I am the product manager and one of the creative directors of Jackbox Naughty Pack. I've been at Jackbox Games for about 6 years now in a couple different roles, and very, very excited to be overseeing this launch of this brand new product.
How does it feel having the word naughty specifically in your job title now?
It is honestly thrilling. No, I am so excited because I was thrilled that Jackbox was on board wanting to try something geared just towards adults, and just the idea, the word naughty is so much fun, and it's so close to party that it just felt like a match made in heaven. Like we kind of just needed to try it on, see what it felt like, give it a go. So yeah, we're just getting a little bit naughty around here.
So when this was first brought up, can you just, what was that meeting like when people first said, can we do something a bit naughty?
Well, a lot of it came from our fans. So we are very connected to our fan base, to our community, to our players. And we had been hearing from our community that there was a desire for a product like this. So it felt right that we explore that and we kind of see, okay, well, what would a pack of party games, things that we know and love that are traditionally in signature Jackbox, be with a little bit of like a spicy or adult or sexy twist to it. So I think we were all very excited to see what that would be like for us, knowing again that we are going to continue to make the T for teen rated games as they are in the US. Like we're going to continue to explore all those games that people know and love, but then just taking a little bit of a veer this way to say, well, what about making a product specifically for adults? Like what would that be like? And again, knowing that conversation was already happening, that people were desiring such a thing, it just felt like we wanted to do it.
And you say a lot of this came from the fans. I'm curious to know what sort of format that came in. Was it things that you saw on social? Was it direct feedback? Or was it that you were kind of seeing that these answers were going into the game?
I was getting phone calls every night. No, we reached out to our fans via a customer feedback survey annually. So we kind of dangled a carrot out to them a while ago, and people were like very enthusiastically responding with like, yes, this is something that we would love to see from you. In addition to that, when we produce games, we are on all the streaming services, watching people play them, watching people have fun with them. So seeing how people were sometimes taking our games down that route anyways and making them a little spicy themselves, we also, see what everybody shares with us online. People are taking screenshots, people are sharing the joyful moments in their game, and it's the full spectrum. You get games that are, just like the normal traditional Jackbox game, fun, lively, and then it kind of veers again this way. And we were like, okay, we see what people are enjoying, and we would love to provide a platform to go all in on that, have fun, like see what it comes from the Jackbox voice as well.
And I mean, I have to ask, if you're seeing a lot of this happening on platforms like Twitch, like YouTube, where people are streaming, you must have seen some pretty wild stuff. Do you have any examples of moments that really stood out to you? That we can keep PG, maybe a little bit.
Keeping it PG, exactly. No, and I would say too, like internally, we are playing these games a lot too. And I think if you talk to any given member of the Jackbox staff, some of us are playing it a little spicy with our friends. Some of us are not. It takes all kinds to come together and make these games. So I think some of the craziest things have been within internal playtests that I absolutely cannot share in this platform or in this very moment, but just know that we are testing these games daily, weekly, all the time to make sure that they are the most fun. And we want to make sure that we're having the most fun so that we know that our players are going to be having the most fun and we follow that fun. So if there's like a mechanic or a thing or a tool that comes out of that, we're like, ooh, more of that. Like we want more of that because it's bringing more joy to our experience. So when I tell you some of the internal play tests, the things that were drawn, the things that were written, the things that were admitted to, we were all crying, laughing because it was just so much fun to just go, oh, it's such a catharsis and a relief and a delight to kind of have fun in that way. But yeah, I'm trying to think also specifically, there is a fun little thing and they're not all naughty and they're not all dirty, but a fun fact about some of the t-shirts that are made in TKO, which is one of our very popular games, if for some reason somebody plays a game and does not put in a correct address, it gets sent to the office. So we get loads of t-shirts from other people's games that I wouldn't even say are like particularly naughty, but just inside jokes clearly from other friend groups that you can only imagine where it came from or why this exists. And I treasure them. Like the staff has taken some of them home because they're delightful.
What a perk for working at Jackbox Games. You get random t-shirts.
You get random t-shirts made by delightful strangers. Who knew? Who knew?
So Jackbox Games is one of these titles that I feel became particularly popular, or at least particularly well known about during the pandemic. A lot of people staying at home, a very easy game to join in with, even when you're in different places. I'm wondering what kind of pressure there is to make sure that the game can still grow and whether or not this going into a new audience is a part of that strategy.
Absolutely. I think, again, over the past couple of years, our office itself is hybrid. So we work a lot online. We're occasionally physically in the office together. And knowing how people gather, how people get together, how they share these games can be different for different people. And like one person can play remotely or in person, depending on their friend group. And I think that period of time opened that up to us internally, and then externally it was such a joy to find out how people were playing the games and relying on them for that level of connection and communication during a extremely tough time. So we get that feedback as well, and so we want to invest in our games to make sure that they continue to evolve and grow within that space in like this hybrid world. So specifically, we look to make sure that games play really well in the room if people are together, as well as translate online, so that depending on how you're gathering, we want to support that.
And that's interesting because there has been a bit of a debate with some other studios about moving everyone back into the office. It sounds like you're pretty committed to keep this hybrid thing going.
It's working really well for us right now. We're continuing to generate, we're continuing to ideate, our paper tests, like when we're coming up with brand new ideas, it's kind of evolved as well, that sometimes it is a bunch of people in a room writing jokes and things on scraps of paper. It's why we call them paper tests, and like throwing it around and doing a very manual version. And then I've pitched games through a shared online doc where everyone's jumping in and doing the same thing online. So I think we've been able to keep our momentum, keep generating new products, new ideas in this hybrid space. And so it's been very encouraging for us.
And some people, of course, say it's potentially better for getting talent in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Was that part of the factor, or just that it seems to be going well?
I have a feeling, again, I can't speak specifically to that in my position as to but I will say we do have folks on our staff that don't live in Chicago where we're based, and it's exciting to have them on board and have them be just as much a vibrant part of our staff and community.
So we've got this pack, as you say, it's spicy, it's naughty. Is it a reflection of the existing fans you had growing up and becoming a bit older? Or is it a case that this is a play for a brand new audience?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think again, it was just an avenue we were interested in exploring and finding out what a Jackbox game with a little bit of a spicy, naughty twist would be like, coming from our voice and our sensibilities. So knowing that, we went all in on creating this specific product, also hoping that it might appeal to folks that don't know us yet, and reaching out there in that adult party game space where groups of adults just want to get together and have a silly, naughty time. We were hoping to be a part of their game nights as well, whether or not they knew we existed.
And Jackbox is one of those games where a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily describe themselves as gamers play it. Do you think sometimes that means that Jackbox isn't really taken seriously when it comes to the games industry?
Maybe I'll say it, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's so funny because I came into this work. My background is comedy. Like, I am a performer and a writer, and kind of came up through Chicago improv comedy, and a lot of our editorial staff comes from that angle. So I think we are really a blend of true gamers, comedians, people who kind of dip into both worlds, casual gamers. And so our goal is always to appeal to everyone. Like, we want our games to be extremely accessible. We treasure the fact that only one person needs to own the game, and then everyone can just jump in using their phone, an iPad, a computer, whatever device they have as the controller. And that ease of entry, that ability to just jump in and play, even if you've never played a Jackbox game before, even if you've never played a video game before, you can just jump in and everyone can play together. And that's what we've heard too, like somebody going to a party and being like, oh, they had Jackbox and we all had a good time, and now, oh, I'd like to do that myself, and how do I get those games? Like, it's exciting to us to kind of just try to figure out ways that we can let more and more people know that party games are video games, and they're also social, and they're also just an excuse to have a fun time together. So yeah, I mean, listen, I want to be taken very seriously. This is very important to me personally, as a professional, as a human. So yeah, I'm just saying, also, please take me seriously.
And lots of people go into making games from all different walks of life. But I want to know from you, why do comedians make the best game designers?
I think particularly for party games. So again, this is the space that we're operating. A lot of our ideas come from some basics of improv. So the idea that we're coming into creating experiences where we want the player to feel supported. And if you're doing like an improv comedy scene, you're not, putting each other down or calling each other out. You're trying to support each other's ideas in a way that makes everybody look like a rock star and everyone has a laugh. So that is the same philosophy that we apply to our games. Like, we want everyone to come in, feel like they have the tools to just make it their own, tell their jokes, make their friends laugh, and then leave feeling really good, whether you won the game or not. I'm someone that when I play the games, I'm there to get the laughs and the likes. I am not there to win. Some people play it to win, and we want to appeal to both of these people. These are all the profiles of players that we absolutely want to appeal to. So we do genuinely take that into consideration when we're putting these games together, is different people play them different ways. So in that same improv flexibility, we want everyone to have a good experience with it.
Do you think it's really hard to be funny in a game? As in, is it a format that's quite tricky? Obviously, there are lots of games that go for humour now. A really big one coming up, of course, is going to be the new GTA, where so much of that is built around satire. Is it tough?
I mean, yes, I think it is purposely, like, really being funny in a game, if you're trying too hard, is absolutely a difficult task. But again, my hope and my joy is that you're just taken by the experience, and the humor comes out of what you are just genuinely putting into the game. So we try to, again, create these experiences. Example is TKO, just that mashup of a random picture and a random slogan, putting together instant laugh, like a shared experience, a thing that only exists for you and your friends that you then again can wear, or one of the Jackbox staff members can wear. But just the fact that in the moment you're creating these comedy moments, whether you're trying or not, is such a joy. Like that's kind of the magic of it. Like it shouldn't be too hard. We don't want you to be overthinking it. And that's also why we make different kinds of games. Like we have joke making games, but then we also have the trivia games, and we have drawing games and social deduction games. So honestly, we believe that we've done our job correctly if different people say they have a different favorite, because we are trying to make something for everybody.
I'm still not over the fact that someone could visit Chicago and see someone in a t-shirt and be like, hang on, didn't I draw that on a
polygon? Didn't I draw that and not properly put my address in?
Am I really bad with my address? Look, I feel like we've kept people on the hook for long enough. Can you tell us a bit about what some of these new games are and what makes them naughty, spicy, insert word here?
I'm so excited because we have not been able to share this information up until now. And so I'm always like, my mouth is like ready to shout it. But we have 3 games in this pack. So Jackbox Naughty Pack has 3 games. The first one is, if you're a fan of Faking It, from one of our previous packs, which is kind of like a hidden identity. One of you is the faker and has to blend in with the rest of the group when answering these questions. We are bringing Faking It All Night Long. So that will be our spicy, sexy version of Faking It, which I'm also really excited because throwing it back to your earlier question on how we're kind of growing and adapting to a hybrid world, this version of Faking It will be able to select a mode of in the room or remote. So we're supporting in the room play, like traditional Faking It. But then if you are playing remotely with friends, there is a mode where all of basically your hand raising, your pointing are noted and occurring on screen so that you can play with your friends online as well. Then we have Dirty Drawful. So Drawful, another mainstay in the Jackbox canon. We are now making it a little bit dirty, a little bit naughty. So Dirty Drawful, again, is such a fun version of the game, especially internally when we're playing it. It is wild that some of these answers are the correct answer. That sort of is the vibe of it. We were like, how can this be the correct answer? And the answer is because it's Dirty Drawful. And a little fun tidbit too about this version of Drawful is, again, we're bringing some new fun tools to the game. So players will be able to emote within the game and respond to the drawings as they appear, which we use a lot when we're playing it. And we have given players the ability to undo, which is never been the case for a Drawful. I can't even say that we'll ever do it again. I make 0 promises. All I can say is that in Dirty Drawful, you can undo.
I think that's the most controversial thing in this interview so far.
Right? Shocking. We got to cut it. Like all of a sudden the feed's cut and everything goes like, we just panic. Everything's on fire. Absolutely. But don't do that before I tell you game 3, before I share a brand new game called Let Me Finish, which is a little bit of a debate game. So you're debating over somewhat sexy, somewhat provocative questions, and having to draw on slides to really make your point and get people to your side.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like there are going to be some people listening to this who might say, wasn't Drawful always Dirty Drawful? But I think that says more about them than it necessarily does about the game. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us and for talking about it. And any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, again, thank you for having me. I can't explain to you how excited I am to be able to share all of this, because this is all a labor of love. We have been playing it so much and just waiting for the moment that other people can play this game, because again, it's just a new thing for us. We've never done something specifically geared towards adults. And again, making sure that we're doing it in the most responsible, fun way possible. So that's it.